GMGP, good morning, good people. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but y'all decided to wake up with us. You're sick. You're sick in the head. There's a lot of fantasy football shows out there, but I promise y'all, they not like us. Brock Bowers, you looked a little quicker than fast. What does that even mean? Redraft, dynasty, best ball, high stakes, we got you covered. And that's MVS and Justin Watson with some of the dopest tools designed to help you cancel out the noise and dominate your leagues. If there's a white wide receiver named Antoine, sign me up. Maybe it's cultural. I don't know. In season or off season, rain, sleet, hail, and snow, comma, semicolon, period, next sentence, to bring you the most actionable and entertaining content on YouTube. You don't go buy the dip on the Titanic.
Quarterback that you love, D-Bro. One of the best values in fantasy football.
Prop bets with my man JRich.
Is that
yes? Let's go! So wipe the crust out of your eye, get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake y'all asses up. We're Ray
and Jay
in the morning.
My God.
How good is
Dude,
he? How good is he? Let's get it. GMGP. Good morning, good people. It is Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. Y'all decided to wake y'all asses up with myself and my brother from another mother. Y'all know who it is. The Canadian Jordan Richards is feeling real good about his SGA's performance last night, even though I see some people in the chat, JRich, they're calling him a free throw merchant. I'm just letting you know what they're saying about your Canadian boy SGA. But shout out to the Oklahoma City Thunder for beating the brakes off of the Wolves late. We'll talk about the game from the association later, but we got a lot of football stuff to talk about. Some Olympics, Tush Push getting banned, new content on the channel. We got a lot of people in the building. And Ricky, JRich, Ricky already starting with the ish early. We about to be on time again. I'm always on time, baby. I'm always on time, despite what the clock says. GMGP to you. AJ in the building. B City Thornton in the building. What's going down with you, Patrick? Yeah, man. Banning the Tush Push. We will talk about it, my friend. And then check this out, Jay. This is my man. The fantasy football gods knew I needed a developer. Like this dude right here, Styley, my dog Lee Savage from Sydney, Australia, helping us do some cool stuff with the website. Can't wait to show everybody that a little later this summer. And my timeline, JRich, those Australian bugs, not really my cup of tea. I'll pass on visiting that Australia. We got HK Survivor in the building. Royce Taylor, yes, Styley, hit the like button. He's cooking up some dope stuff as well. Can't wait to show y'all all that. Terrell in the building. Brandon, Mark, Kay, Daniel. And then I saw Jimbo in here say, what the helly? Tyler Perry, Ben and Jerry's, doesn't matter. Knicks in 5. JRich, he was saying the Knicks gonna get it done versus the Pacers in 5. We appreciate each and every eye, each and every ear that pulls up live during the show, the thousands of you that watch and listen. Post-show, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and check out the content on the Wake Up with Ray and Jay podcast feed. Make sure you're subbed over there as well. And then all the fantasy football content on DD FFB, DD Fantasy Football. I believe Manic and Chill live tonight with Scott and Shane. JRich, how you doing this morning, big dog?
I'm good, Ray. I'm good. And any day that SGA and the OKC Thunder get a win is a good day.
When did you become a Thunder fan? I mean, what are you talking about?
I'm not a Thunder fan. I've never been a Thunder fan. But, you know, the chat likes to give me hell, Ray. Every time I talk about Anthony Edwards and how bad he is and how he's not that good, they give me hell. And then, you know, we won't get into the game. I won't bring it up. But they did lose 88-114. And if there was someone on this show that came and said that they're going to get slapped, and I was called a fool, I was called an idiot, I was called a non-ball knower. And while I didn't watch the game, Ray, I certainly was right, wasn't I? It's only one game. But I hope Minnesota fans are feeling confident. I already saw on to game 2 because that's pretty much all they can say at this point.
That's all you can say after you get beat 114.
What are you going to say?
Yeah, there's not much. There's not much that you can say, but we'll talk about a little bit of NBA, a little WNBA a little bit later. But the big news coming out of the National Football League, Jordan Richards. Oh my gosh, the owners are panicked, my friend. It does seem very likely, Jordan, that the Tush Push is going to be banned. Is that today that they're voting on that? Today?
Yeah, they're voting on it today. Diana Rossini just tweeted out, I think in the last 30 minutes, it's expected to get banned. It was delayed from the March meetings because they didn't think it was going to get passed, and now it seems like it's going to get passed. But like honestly, Ray, like let's talk about this for like 2 seconds. 1, do you care? 2, do you think it impacts the Eagles? And 3, maybe there's no 3, just 1 or 2. Do you care? And do you think it really impacts the Eagles, who clearly are the best team at this quote unquote tush push?
I don't know if care is the right word. Like, do I personally like care? I guess not really would be the answer, but does this impact Philadelphia? Do I think the league should have banned this football play? No, absolutely not.
Okay.
I think it's Bush League that they're banning it. It's a quarterback sneak. It's a QB sneak. I mean, from at least my football memory, you know, the first time I just really recall seeing a player push from behind into the end zone. You know what that moment was for me that is etched into my memory bank?
You're gonna
It was
date yourself
USC
here, aren't
versus
you?
Notre Dame when Reggie Bush and them, I think it was pushed Matt Leinart into the end zone to save USC's undefeated season. This was during the time where BCS existed in college football and every win mattered. Like, you couldn't lose a game.
Every point mattered.
Every point mattered. Every score mattered. I believe it was when USC and Notre Dame faced off and they pushed Leinart into the end zone for USC to win. I don't understand why they're banning it. Do I think it impacts Philadelphia? Hell yeah. I mean, it's an automatic first down. It's an auto first down, an auto touchdown.
I don't really think it impacts them at all, though. Like,
do you really
think? Do you really think the impact of the play and the effectiveness is determined by whether Jalen Hurts is pushed in the back by Saquon Barkley and whoever? I don't know who else is back there, but Saquon's usually back there. Like, so that's where, like, for me, is it that much more effective just because he's being pushed in the back? Or is it more so to take away the player was stopped at the 3-yard line, like the running back, and then he gets pushed in the end zone by his right tackle who was initially out of the play? Like, I think that's kind of where it's.
But that's football. When you
it is
very rarely is there one-on-one tackle impact fall. There's multiple players push that the defenders push you back, right?
Yeah.
If I tackle you and hit you, I'm pushing you backwards, and that impacts forward progress, spot of the ball. Offensively, if you're running it and your lineman pushes you down, I think this is weak. I think this was a, whatever you want to call it, a loophole, but it was a football play that the Philadelphia Eagles perfected, that multiple teams replicated, that tried to emulate, and it worked. And now you're taking that play out of the game. Yeah, I do think that whenever they were inside the one, it was automatic. I think for a lot of people,
but do you think it's not going to be automatic? I think it's still going to be automatic. Like, I don't think that added leverage of Saquon or whoever's back there pushing him into the end zone is going to make much of a difference. Like, they still have the best offensive line in football. They still have a quarterback who's great at the QB sneak in general. So, like, again, I understand why they're trying to ban it. And honestly, watching it against Washington, like, it's clear now why it was banned. Like, there was really nothing anyone could do, and it was a huge delay in the game, and that kind of sucked for just that particular instance. It only happened once. But, like, I don't think it impacts the result as much as people think it's going to. Personally, I just don't. I understand where you're coming from. Like, it doesn't need to be banned, and it was banned. For people who don't know this, it was banned years ago. But they took that rule out, which created the loophole for the Eagles to create this play. I just don't think it's going to make much of an impact as people think. Like, Josh Allen still is great at QB sneaks.
Let me ask you this.
And they don't do the tush push.
Let me ask you this, because a lot of people in the chat play fantasy football. A lot of people, and the reaction that I've seen is geared and tethered towards that aspect of football, is the fantasy side. And more importantly, Jalen Hurts' impact, right? Like, what Jalen Hurts is going to be now that you've removed this. How do you think this impacts him, who I think I'm going to go look up his rushing touchdown line. I'm just going to look at his prop right now. But how do you think this
8.5?
How do you think this impacts Hurts? And
zero.
For fantasy football.
Absolutely zero. Like 0.0%.
Zero
right,
impact.
If you're the Philadelphia Eagles and you're at the 1-yard line, do you think they're now not going to run a QB sneak simply because the league said, well, you can't do the tush push? If I was the Philadelphia Eagles, I would be doing everything in my power to have the best jumbo package in the league and do the exact same thing again legally, to really shove it down the throats of every team that tried to ban their play and prove
those
to them
Packers.
that you don't need. You don't
weak
need,
ass
we
Packers,
don't
man.
need
That's why we didn't go to
push
the draft.
our quarterback
in
the back to score
man.
touchdowns.
Damn Packers.
I don't think
in
it
Wisconsin.
matters.
It's just weak, JRich. Weak.
It is weak. It is weak. But I get it. Like, teams want to ban stupid stuff happening in certain plays and things they deem unfair. That's fine because that's just what it is. But I don't think it makes any impact on Hurts' fantasy value, any impact on his ability to score touchdowns. Like, I don't think it makes a difference at all. Like, at all.
Okay. How many TDs did he have last year rushing over the last couple of years? Do you know?
I haven't. I didn't.
I'm looking.
It up,
I'm
but
looking
I'd
it up
imagine
right
he's
now.
double digits. I'd say he's probably 12 to 14.
And of those touchdowns, if we started to look like where they came from, how it happened, 14. Okay, Jay, 14 rushing touchdowns last year, 15 rushing touchdowns the year before, 13 rushing touchdowns the year before that. So around the last 3 years, where this play has been a mainstay of their offense, I mean, he's damn near league leader in rushing touchdowns every year.
For sure.
And you don't think this is going to impact Jalen Hurts?
You are now a fantasy analyst. You are the best fantasy analyst in the world.
Oh, thank you.
Are you really going to project Jalen Hurts for 14 touchdowns?
No, I wouldn't.
Even if the tush push wasn't banned, you'd probably put him at 10, maybe 10 and a half, maybe 11, right?
9.5.
Variance in touchdowns is always going to exist. Yeah, it's always going to exist. And it doesn't stop Josh Allen from being a top quarterback every year either, right? Like, it doesn't. And they don't do the tush push in Buffalo. They run QB sneaks. And he still scores plenty of touchdowns. Like, I just think people are out over their skis to think that it's going to make a huge difference. Is he going to score 16 touchdowns next season? Probably not. Is he going to hit that 14, 15 number? Maybe not. But if that's what matters to you, hit the difference between 12 and 14, like, come on. He's going to be great either way. I really don't think people should overreact to this play.
The team,
and think he's
I'm
only
just
score
reading the
like
chat.
5 touchdowns next year.
Shout out to my dog Stanley. Stanley said the team had zero red zone targets.
Who, the Eagles?
That's what he said. I don't know about that. I think he's saying like inside a certain spot, maybe. A lot of people are worried. Yeah. They're saying he's not getting in. He's not scoring all those touchdowns without this. So can we do a little would you rather Jalen Hurts, post tush push ban, would you rather?
Sure.
All right, let me pull up an aggregator and see where the people have Jalen Hurts ranked. I don't know any of these guys. Give me to the damn rankings. All right, Jalen Hurts is currently the QB5. These are the quarterbacks ahead of Jalen Hurts: Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, Josh Allen. No issue there. No issue there with those guys over Jalen Hurts, fantasy football wise.
No, it's fine.
Patrick, with this rule ban pending, Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes?
Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
Would you take Patrick Mahomes and his, 25
I'm looking at these,
touchdowns?
First and foremost, Jordan, I'm looking at these rankings, and Drake May, QB7.
What rankings are you looking at? Quick aside, Ray. Quick aside. Not on the show sheet at all.
Good God.
Did you see he threw 4 picks in OTAs yesterday?
Who, Drake May?
Oh, my God. Drake May threw 4 picks in OTAs and apparently threw back-to-back picks twice in, like, the first 10 throws or something.
QB7.
Then he came back and,
wow.
Was a little bit better. But, yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Would you take...
It makes
Stroud
no sense,
or
right?
Herbert over him? Would you take Stroud or Herbert over him?
No.
Okay,
why?
I'm going through
this guy
for
doesn't even play.
Here.
This guy doesn't even play every game every season. He's only played 15 games in 3 of his last 4 seasons. And even in 2022, when I don't think they were doing the tush push, now feel free to correct me, that was arguably his best season rushing in 15 games, 760 yards and 13 touchdowns. So yeah, the last 2 seasons, 14-15, but a year when they're not doing the tush push as much, 13 touchdowns. Then the year before that, his first season starting in the NFL, 10 rushing touchdowns. So I don't get why people think it's to make a huge difference. Like, if this is a needle mover for you, you're really not paying attention. Like, you're just hoping that he gets to that number again, but you shouldn't actually expect him to do that every single season.
Some of these quarterback rankings are insane. Wow.
Yeah, Hurts is right
Dak
there.
Prescott,
What you need him to do is
QB
pass the
22.
football.
JRich,
Yeah,
QB 22.
Not on my rankings. No, sir.
Wow. Okay. Tush Push getting banned. What else do we have? This is a fun one, man. I think this is interesting, and I don't think there's a right or wrong answer for what the NFL and the IOC approved or the owners. But Olympics, NFL and the Olympics, like they've cleared a way for NFL players to participate in flag football during the Olympic Games. And at first, man, I just kind of thought this was like, no way NFL players would be excited to play in the Olympics, to do this shit.
Yeah.
No, but it seems quite the opposite. That there seems to be enthusiasm and excitement from the superstar NFL players to represent their country in the Olympics. It's one of the, I believe, few or the only major sport that there's zero representation globally. You know, there's hockey, they've got it, baseball, basketball, of course, the most popular one from the team sports. But football is the only one that has not been able to branch into that global athletic ring of competition. And now this has cleared the way. Now, I know there's a lot of stipulations. You can't load up on, can't have Jamar and Burrow and T. Higgins on the same team. But what are your thoughts about the approval and the vote to have NFL players participate in flag football at the Olympics? And do you think this is a good idea? Would you watch? Is this going to work? I think monetarily, from a business standpoint, it is genius to do something like this.
Yeah, I mean, what I watch is a little bit questionable. I don't know if I need to watch that, but it's exciting, right? It's one of those things where a lot of players who are playing in the NFL probably at one point maybe did want to be basketball players or did want to play in an Olympics. And as they grew further into their sports and their football career, that was never something that was a possibility for them because there was no Olympics for football at all, right? It was just recently approved they were going to put flag football in the Olympics. And now, when it comes to LA, it's also been approved that NFL players will be able to play. And I'm sure there'll be parallels to the NBA. The NBA is a little bit different because there was, I mean, I don't even know how long the basketball has been in the Olympics, but it was a long time. It was just that professionals in the NBA weren't allowed to participate. They lifted that rule, and the NBA allowed NBA players to play in the Olympics. Now we're having NFL players being allowed to play in the Flag Football League with all these stipulations and stuff. You know, one player per team per nation, so you won't get maybe two teams or a team with two like huge superstars playing on a team. It'll be very interesting.
I think players would 100% do it.
The other teams, like the non-American teams, and who participates in those.
I see Bayou's comment, a worse Pro Bowl. No thanks. I don't think it's. I don't think it's that. If you were picked to participate and represent the United States once every 4 years in 7-on-7, which this is what they do, right? Like even through middle school, high school, like that's the new football circuit. You know, that's how people are getting recruited through 7-on-7 flag football passing tournaments and camps. Yeah, you got to put in work on Friday nights, but it's through these camps. So these players, the new age era of player, they're already used to this. This is what you do in NFL practice. There's a lot of 7-on-7. I believe that if however many the roster is, 15, 20, were selected to go do this, that they would take it very seriously and play and, and participate. Yeah, injury risk, all of that. You see that shit happen in the other sports, right? During the Olympics or during off-season workout and training regimens. I think it's from a business standpoint, the NFL is not dumb. I think a lot of people would watch those 7-on-7. And if you have not watched 7-on-7 ball, it's not, you're not going to compare it to regular football because it's different.
Yeah.
But it's very exciting. I mean, I've been to some of those tournaments live. I see them around here where we live at. It's really fun to watch that level of play because it's just passing, it's routes, it's crazy catches, it's sideline grabs. I do think people would watch that. Really cool opportunity for NFL players to get to represent their country in the Olympics. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, the interesting part will be the timeline, right? Because right around when the Olympics start and are going on is training camp. Like it's that it'll probably have to be very early in the Olympic calendar, but I have to imagine, early July. But again, these are star players. If they miss, let's say, the first week of training camp, it's not a big deal. I'm sure the NFL will try to find ways to work it into the Olympic schedule to where that won't be a problem. But it'll be very interesting for sure to see how it plays out. But yeah, for me, I want to see the non-American teams. How do they look? Who are the players who are participating for them? And kind of like, how do they show out as well? Because everyone knows the Americans are going to win, and they're definitely going to win. But it's who are the surprise nations that also have good players and good teams and can show out as well. Because that'll be fun. That's really what the Olympics is about. Yes, it's about the Americans. Everyone wants to see them win and win a gold medal. But it's who's going to come in second and third, and kind of who are those players that make those impacts for those teams.
I see Joe and Jimbo talking about wrestling. We can talk some WWE if y'all want to. We could talk wrestling all day long. What'd you say? Olympic wrestling?
Real wrestling.
No, I don't want that, man. I don't want that. I don't want that cauliflower here. I want that acting in there. I want some of that drama in my wrestling, JRich. Let's talk about more drama. Can we talk about a little more drama? A little more drama. That would you rather wasn't fun. Once you said you would take Hurts over Mahomes, it was pretty much there's nobody else that I can throw in there that might even eclipse Jalen Hurts. But let's talk about let me share my screen real quick, because there was a conversation on ESPN Cleveland yesterday that I found quite interesting. It's something that we've talked about on here, the pecking order of the Browns quarterbacks as we get into NFL kind of play season. So let's pull this up and let's listen to this new report that says Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel will take the number 1 and number 2 reps when OTAs open. Let's listen to this.
Said it was Dylan Gabriel with the first rep. If they would have said it was Mary Kay Cabot at Cleveland.com, she writes, in terms of their battling order and team drills, it will likely be Pickett and Gabriel, number 1 and number 2, then Flacco and Sanders splitting the number 3 and number 4 reps at the outset. Placing a rookie with a veteran seems to make the most sense.
Are you surprised that it is Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel? Number 1, number 2.
Nothing surprises me. You know, if they would have said it was Dylan Gabriel with the first rep, if they would have said it was Shador, maybe that would have been a little surprising.
Training camp and preseason games are going to be must watch.
Ray, I think you're on mute.
Sorry. That was from ESPN Cleveland on X, basically talking about a report, Mary Kay Cabot, saying that the pecking order when the Browns start OTAs will be Kenny Pickett, then Dylan Gabriel, then Joe Flacco, then everybody's favorite quarterback, Shador Sanders, as the 4th guy, pairing him up with Flacco. We've continued to say this, and I've been 10 toes down. I believe that when the Browns trot out a rookie, the first one they're going to put out there is Dylan Gabriel. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I just believe that's what they're going to do. When you hear this report, does it make you feel any differently about how this is going to shake out? Have we prematurely and unfairly, and I'm using air quotes, dismissed Kenny Pickett's ability in this offense, his opportunity? He was a former first-round pick a few years ago.
Yeah. Yep. Love those former first-round picks.
I'm just laying out the facts. I'm trying to keep the bias and the opinion out of it right now. What are your thoughts when you hear that this is how it's going to shake out in Cleveland? And is there a world where Flacco just stinks? He's like, he wasn't good last year. The magic that we saw from Flacco, that final run in Cleveland, to what he did when he had to take over for Anthony Richardson, he didn't look good at all last year in Indianapolis. And I don't believe that he's going to continue to get better as he gets older. So talk about this report, this QB room, and I agree. It is must-watch TV. Training camp, OTAs, preseason for Cleveland.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting, but at the same time, if I was Shador Sanders, I'd actually be pretty ecstatic about this.
Really?
And I think the reason why, the first team, second team reps aside, it's mini camp, it's OTAs. Like, again, Ray, in training camp and in practice, we know that the majority of the reps go to the first team guys, right? And maybe you know better than me. I don't know if that's necessarily the case in training camp and OTAs. I'm sure everyone kind of gets their fair shot at reps. But the reason why this is good is because running with the first team, second team, and OTAs, especially as a 5th round pick, doesn't really matter. But if I was Shedeur Sanders, there was one quarterback I'd want to stick and hitch my wagon to, it would be Joe Flacco. Can Joe Flacco play at the level that he did when he played in Cleveland 2 years ago? Probably not. Maybe not. Maybe he can. We don't know. But more importantly, you're getting the knowledge that Joe Flacco has at his disposal. If you're Dillon Gabriel, what really are you learning from Kenny Pickett? Maybe a little bit here, a little bit there. And I'm not trying to dismiss Kenny Pickett entirely, but Joe Flacco was a significantly different tier of intellect and IQ.
Okay,
in the NFL
can we address this real quick?
Pickett.
I don't know Joe Flacco. I'm not in that locker room. I've never been in an NFL locker room, but I've talked to a bunch of players who have played in the league. This idea and notion that these backups just help out these rookies and spew and disseminate and pass down all of this valuable knowledge. That's not true, Jordan. Like that's not how it works with every team and every player.
It depends on the player, right?
It depends on the player. Right? Like yeah. I don't know that Joe Flacco is passing down all this damn wisdom to Shedeur. Like this is a job. There's only 32 of these spots in the world, right? I'm not like my job is not to prepare Shedeur Sanders for him to replace me or to get in and take my work or that. I'm not saying that's what Flacco is doing. But I had a conversation with one of the best wide receivers in Dallas Cowboys history and one of the best quarterbacks in Dallas, and there was little help from the torch pass from Dak Prescott to Tony Romo. There was little assistance from that quarterback transition. Aaron Rodgers said, "It ain't my damn job to prepare the rookie. Like I'll do what we need to when we're here." But this idea and this notion that Flacco and Sanders are walking around together and learning and that's not how it works, man.
But again, the point is that we don't know, right? And
I do know that. I do know that. I do know.
But you don't know. You don't know what their relationship is. You don't know what they do in practice. You don't know whether they're talking about football and kind of what that acclimation process is. Like, for all we know, Flacco was brought in to groom the rookie quarterbacks and help them out. That's one of the reasons why he returned to Cleveland. So it goes both ways.
I don't think he returned to Cleveland to groom the rookie quarterbacks. No, I don't believe that.
And I'm not saying it as fact, but I'm saying we don't know what the case is, and we don't know what the relationship is. All I'm saying is if I was Shedeur Sanders, I want to be working with and learning, whether it's audibly or simply watching how he goes about his business from Joe Flacco instead of Kenny Pickett. And I think that is valuable, right? He's the most successful quarterback on the roster. Deshaun Watson, sure, he's there, and he may know some things as well and pass on some knowledge, maybe a little bit. I don't know what Deshaun Watson's doing. He's kind of outside, out of mind. But it is interesting that they paired Shedeur with Flacco. You know, depth chart aside, like, does Flacco care that he's third or fourth or whatever? Like, that doesn't matter. But you have Gabriel and Pickett, the two guys that have kind of been dismissed, versus Flacco and Shedeur, the two guys that people kind of expect to potentially win out the jobs when all's said and done.
Interesting. We'll see. I think Dillon Gabriel is going to be first man up. What for? Do with that,
but for,
what you will.
Okay,
might not
but when though? Because first man up now, first man up in training camp. Yeah. Who cares, right?
Right.
When the time comes, do you think he's going to be first man up? Because it wasn't you who said you think Sanders will be the first quarterback to hit the field.
No, I didn't.
As a rookie.
No, I didn't say that. I've said it. I've always said it was Dillon Gabriel that I believe would be the one from Cleveland to take the first snaps, not Shedeur. I don't. And when it will happen, probably soon, because I think Kenny Pickett's not very good. All right, JRich, a lot of people are excited about the physical appearance and transformation of one of the wide receivers that people said was the generational one last year. You saw this Marvin Harrison Jr. image, this side-by-side, Marv adding weight. Does he look a little bigger to you? Does this give you confidence about Marv going into 25?
It's interesting. It's a storyline. It's a topic. You know, if Marv beefs up a little bit, can he be a little bit more dominant, a little more physical? I don't think that beef has
anything to do with his distribution of targets. I think that's probably the bigger thing that needs to change here.
Hey, that'll help too. But maybe Marv is doing the right things, right? He's beefing up. He's getting stronger, adding some weight. He'll drop it in training camp because, you know, Arizona's hot. But
Arizona is hot.
Good to see Marv beefing up. Do you think this changes his outlook at all? Because
not his
remember
weight.
We talked about Trey McBride and Marv being equal.
No,
for the receiving yards. No, do you think he can finish top 12 this season?
Weight gate doesn't really hold a lot of weight for me. I want to see him get open and be thrown the football. That's all. Just throw him the ball more than McBride. Right now, who gets
We
more
got
targets?
minivan Marv. We
Marv
got
or McBride.
Marv.
Who leads this team in meaningful pass catcher situational usage?
Targets, probably McBride. But I think that Marv could lead in yards, which matters.
Cool.
Right.
All right. Let's talk about Joe Thuney. Got a big deal. Got a 2-year extension with the Bears to fortify that offensive front. A lot of discourse around one Caleb Williams, man. We did the re-rank the quarterbacks from 2024. And I saw articles posted where he was not the first, nor second, nor third, nor fourth quarterback redrafted. They had him dead last, JRich, 5th or 6th from last year with Caleb Williams.
Would they throw him behind Penix?
He was behind Penix, he was behind Nix, he was behind Daniels, and he was behind Drake May. The only one he was ahead of was J.J. McCarthy. And that's because McCarthy didn't play last season. Impact on Caleb. Do you just are you comfortable with what Chicago at least looks like they're doing to surround their young quarterback? Weapons, line, offensive talent, coaching. Are you feeling better about Caleb, or is he one where in your gut you're like, I'm good. Like he might be great, but I don't want to deal with it. What are your thoughts on Caleb and the Bears?
No, I'm very excited for Caleb. And I think that's the part that people are kind of missing in all of this. They want to talk about the running backs. They want to talk about the receivers. They want to talk about Ben Johnson. Like, yes, all that stuff matters, but that's the side of things that's getting overhyped is, oh man, this offense is going to be electric out there. It's going to be so exciting. Ben Johnson's coming in. It's about the offensive line and Caleb Williams. That is the number one story for the Bears. 100%. 100%. And Caleb's going to be good or bad this year, depending on how this offense looks. But don't just assume it's going to be great. But yes, all the pieces are in place. And I think improving this offensive line will give us a chance to say, okay, is Caleb the problem with some of these sacks and some of these extending the plays and making a lot of mistakes? Or was it just the offensive line was really bad last year and getting Ben Johnson solidified the offensive line and putting in better schemes in place and getting Caleb more on schedule, really benefiting him? So for me, the story is Caleb and kind of how he can develop from year 1 to year 2. You know, when we ranked him, I think I had him second still on my list, if I recall correctly, just behind Jaden Daniels, because what we saw last year is not what we're going to see this year, and hopefully this year is much better for Caleb Williams.
Man, people are ripping at Marvin Harrison in the chat. We got Muscle Car Marv. We got we've got another one here, David Boston Vibes. Stanley just calls him Marvin. We've got another one, Mustang Marv, Mazda Marv, Metro Card Marv.
We have got some Metro Card Marv.
Metro Card Marv is nasty work. McDouble Marv. And then we also have this comment right here. Is Marv the 4th wide receiver in last year's class? This generational talent.
He's 3rd right now at best.
Right now, look,
he's
and
3rd
at 24.
Best.
That 24 wide receiver class is nasty, Jay. It is a nice wide receiver.
And he's the 4th
class.
best pass catcher, right? He's at least the 4th best pass catcher at best.
NFL. You are building your NFL team.
Yes.
Marvin Harrison or Malik Neighbors?
Malik Neighbors.
Okay. Marvin Harrison or Brian Thomas Jr.?
Brian Thomas Jr.
Marvin Harrison, little positional switch up. Marvin Harrison or Brock Bowers?
I
know they're two different positions, but
Brock Bowers.
Think about designing your passing attack. Are you designing it around Bowers and the tight end, or are you taking your ex wide receiver in Marv?
I'm happily designing it around Brock Bowers.
Marv or Ladd McConkey?
This is where it gets really tough because what Ladd did in his rookie season was extremely impressive. More impressive than Marvin Harrison Jr.
And Vegas right now, $9.99.5 for Ladd, $8.99.5 for Marv. Projected lines. Continue.
Now, one of the big problems here, Ray, I think it's the offense.
Okay.
And I'm pretty happily to say I think Kyler's a problem too. So let's think about this. We know that Malik is definitely better than Marv. Like, quarterback play aside, Marv had that edge, and that was kind of the whole argument. Malik blew him out of the water. T-Law, not the greatest quarterback, but he made it work with BTJ, and they were very good last year. And he was good with Mac Jones as well. Let's give him credit for that. Herbert versus Kyler Murray?
I'm taking Herbert. I'm taking
Herbert by a pretty substantial margin. You give Marv Herbert? Oh, man, that's probably pretty good. So I think it can go either way. I will still lead Marv because I think he's just got a higher ceiling than Ladd.
I would take Ladd,
phenomenal.
Man. I would take Ladd.
Okay.
I would take Ladd. Last one, Xavier Worthy or Marv.
Oh, I'm taking Marv. I like Xavier Worthy a lot, but a little bit more limited in the skill set.
I'm going to say something, okay? Let me get this comment off the screen. There's a lot of comps that get tossed around. A lot of player comps. Jay, I really think that for the first time I think this player was drafted in 2008, 2009.
Okay.
I think X Worthy is probably the closest thing to D-Jax that we've seen come through the league. Okay. I really like watching how he plays, what he can do after the catch, the explosive element, the fact that speed actually shows up on the field, and you see Kansas City trying to prioritize and use him. The biggest X factor is Rashee Rice, and what does this offense look like when both of these guys are clicking? I think I would take Worthy. I think right now, if you were asking me, I know he doesn't look like Marv. He's not built like him, but he
they don't have the same quarterback
season.
Too, right?
And he's got Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, and Andy Reid.
I think it's closer than you might initially think. And I'm not talking about where you would draft them or their ADP or where they're going on underdog, but you're just talking about putting player on field in their environment and go succeed. I am very much in on Xavier Worthy here in year 2, like monster.
Can I ask you a question?
Welcome, like I'm here moment this year in 25.
I'm with you, and I agree with that. But now allow me to sway you a little bit.
Go ahead.
If I could trade Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Raiders right now, would you take Xavier Worthy or Marvin Harrison Jr.?
You said if you could do what?
If I could trade Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Raiders, and he'd be under Chip Kelly and have Geno Smith at quarterback.
And Ashton Jeanty, I don't think that would be better for him. I still don't think he'd be the number 1 pass catcher in Las Vegas.
I think it'd be a lot, whether he's number 1 or not, but I think it'd be a lot better for him. I think him having Chip Kelly as an OC would make a massive difference for Marvin Harrison Jr. It's
just, so now it's the OC's fault, right? Like this was the generational one. He needs a better OC. He needs a better quarterback. Malik Neighbors had freaking Tommy DeVito throwing him the ball last year.
But who was his OC? His OC was Brian Daboll, Mike Kafka, right? Guys that know how to get playmakers the ball. And again, it's not to say that it's not Marv's fault. I'm sure it is Marv's fault to some extent. But let's not pretend like we believe in the Arizona coaching staff, because we don't. They haven't shown us we should believe in them offensively hardly at all. Even Trey McBride couldn't score touchdowns last year. How is that an excuse? How is that valid? Like, he's their best player, and he was their best player, and they couldn't even get him into the end zone. So, like, we have to call into question the team as well a little bit. Like, Marv could be better, absolutely. But it's not like I'm sold on this coaching staff that they know what to do with their talent either. And that's more what I'm getting at here.
Okay, interesting. I like Marv, but I think the bigger point of this conversation is look how quickly things tightened up, because there was a massive gap. It was Marv, big gap, everybody else, gap, more players, but they've tightened that up. And I think you can make a case for success for my thing is this. If I truly believed that Marv was the primary in his offense, but I don't believe it, and the Vegas lines are saying that he and McBride are right at the same. Like that, they don't know either.
McBride's a good player, right?
Right, he is a great player. McBride is a great player. He's one of the best tight ends in football. I'm excited for Marv in year 2. I'm not out on him. He's not Metro Card Marv to me. I do believe that some of the other wide receivers in this class, if they outproduced him, if they were better producers than Marv this year, it would not shock or floor me. And that's not an indictment against Marv, more so as it is a vote of confidence and encouraging feelings and sentiment for some of the other rookie or second-year wide receivers entering into their second year in the NFL. All right, Jay, we got a lot more to talk about. We got to talk about a Kalel Mullings in Tennessee, maybe a sneaky stash. We got to talk about a running back that is my size with fumbling issues. And then we've got to talk about a top 25 under 25 that PFF dropped yesterday. We appreciate each and every eye, each and every ear in the building. JRich and I are on Bleacher Report every single Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to run the break, run the likes up, and when we get back, we'll continue with the show. Welcome in, everybody, for another stream over here on Bleacher Report, NFL Daily. You can find JRich and I every single week here on this app.
The moment I say it, they'll say, oh, yuck. And it's got to be Najee Harris, right?
That world is in an alternate timeline somewhere in the multiverse. It ain't here on Earth 616 or whatever. It ain't here. JRich and I are on every single Thursday, 7 p.m. Appreciate y'all being in the building. This is Wake Up with Ray and Jay every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on the Ray Garvin YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed to the Wake Up with Ray and Jay podcast feed anywhere you get your podcasts at. Check out our fantasy football content on DDFFB, that is DD Fantasy Football, and join the community. Patreon.com/allgas, or do that on the website, DDFantasyFootball.com. Get into the crew, get into the group. Jay, a record was set last night. A record was set from your girl, Caitlin Clark. 42 games into her young WNBA career. She is now the all-time leader in points and assists. 25-point games, I think 25-point, 10-assist games. She's already got 6 of those bad boys early in her WNBA career. They did
That's the
lose
record?
last night.
6?
Again. What'd you say?
That's the record of 25 and 10 games?
Yes.
I guess 10 assists.
Yeah, 10
assists is the record.
Yes, assist.
Oh,
And she's already set that in 42 games. They had to move, and this is big, Jay. They had to move the game. So the Atlanta Dream normally play in an arena, 3,500. They had to move the damn game to a stadium that holds 17,000 to watch this woman play basketball.
I'm surprised they don't play in the Pacers arena if they can, on certain nights.
She's must-see TV, dude. I don't give a damn if you don't like, I don't watch Caitlin Clark. She is an incredible player. There's a lot of dope female basketball players. Brianna Stewart, Asia Wilson, top 2. But Vandersloot's been playing forever. Set that record. Yeah. Caitlin Clark has been in the WNBA for 5 minutes and already breaking records. She's different, Jay. Asia's still the top dog, but Caitlin is coming, JRich. We also had another extension in the NFL. San Francisco locks up their guy. There's no doubt about that this was going to get done. I believe it was a 3-year extension for Fred Warner, over $60 million, Jay?
Yeah, $53 million guaranteed for Warner. So basically the whole contract guaranteed. Massive deal. So they got Purdy. They got Warner. I don't know if they got who else they got to sign, but the 49ers are ready to go. They're tooled up. They're re-signing their players. Going to be crazy, man. Going to be very, very good team this year. Very, very good. I agree. Some news out of Tennessee. Head coach Brian Callahan was talking about his backfield, JRich, and saying that he needs to get the ball out of Tony Pollard's hands a little bit, right? We don't want to load old Tony Pollard up. He dealt with that ankle injury last year. Brian Callahan said, in a perfect world, it's a healthier division of labor. I like both of these players a lot, talking about Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears. I think we could do a better job of managing that load so they both play a little more evenly. So we're talking about a more even distribution of carries from this Tennessee Titans backfield with a rookie quarterback, with some unproven pass catchers. My thing is this, Jay. Tyjae Spears, man, that head was messed up a little bit last year. There was some missed games, concussion, banged up, going in and out. That depth chart is pretty stinky behind Tyjae Spears, and they did spend some capital on Michigan bruiser Kalel Mullings. He's on waivers everywhere. I put a claim in for him, multiple spots this morning, JRich. Let me just grab some of that Mullings
just in case. So what do you think about this division of labor in this Tennessee Titans backfield that should be, again, Tony Pollard was pretty damn good for us in fantasy last year, especially given the cost.
Yeah, I mean, Tony Pollard in 16 games had 260 carries for almost 1080 in terms of yardage, 5 touchdowns last year, versus Tyjae Spears is 84 carries for only 312 yards, but still scored 4 touchdowns on the ground. Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty bad split. But as you mentioned, one player is dealing with injuries and concussions, and so what are you going to do? You have to give Tony Pollard the ball because your quarterback play stinks, and you pretty much have nothing else offensively. But it's just crazy that Tony Pollard in his last season in Dallas, when we kind of expected him to get a lot of work because they were going to get rid of that contract and he was going to go somewhere else, to then to have Tennessee turn around and give him the ball 260 times on the ground, knowing he's a bit more of a complimentary back and working off of Spears as well. So yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. It's just, how practical is it when we don't know how healthy Spears is going to be, dealing with some of those concussions and potentially some other injuries as well. So I think Mullins is a good shout to have him as a potential option. He'll probably see some work. The question really is how much, especially when, do you think that they would give him carries when, let's say, Spears is hurt, Pollard is healthy? They just gave Pollard all the work at the end of the season when Tyjae Spears was hurt. Do you think they would give Mullins those carries to where he'd get like 10 a game, maybe get you 50 yards and be
listen,
like
man,
or something?
You took this 8 minutes longer than I thought. Like, it was just like, go pick up Mullins. It's a stash. Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears, they're probably going to run the ball a lot. I don't know how many carries Mullins is going to get, but if he were on waivers, I would just pick him up as an insurance policy because Tyjae Spears is always banged up. Let's talk about another rookie running back, JRich. Well, actually, we're not going to talk about it. We're going to listen to the head coach talk about everyone's favorite rookie running back, Bayshul Tuten of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's listen to Liam Cohen talk about Tuten's performance at the practices.
How's Tuten looking? Yeah, I think he put the ball on the ground today. That kind of stands out. But I thought last week, as we were kind of getting more into the scheme and he was getting a little bit more comfortable, I thought he started to get a little bit more into it, had a couple better runs of feeling the zone and being able to stick his foot in the ground and accelerate. So, good learning experience, first time in a live setting in the National Football League on your first carry. Hopefully you learned something from that moment. But I think all together, that running back room's done a nice job in terms of the competition, the acceleration and the teaching for some of those young guys, and also the veterans doing a nice job of trying to help those guys out as well.
JRich, that was head coach Liam Cohen talking about Bayshul Tuten, the rookie running back out of Virginia Tech, took his first carry in these practices and fumbled the damn ball. One of the biggest issues with Tuten coming out of Virginia Tech was his inability to hang on to the ball. Now, we talked to him up close. He's not a big dude, Jay.
He's a running back, right? It's okay.
I get it.
It's not Dylan Gabriel.
How did he look compared to Ollie Gordon? How did he look now?
Well,
all I'm saying is, you've got a small running back with ball security issues. That's all I'm saying. There's nothing physically imposing about Tuten, right? So if you are fast, get that. 9 fumbles lost. There were more that he put on the ground. The fact that the head coach is going out of his way early to mention this, it's not good. I'm not saying this is bad. I'm not saying it's a death sentence. I'm not saying he's not going to score a touchdown in the NFL or be successful, but you can't tell me this is confidence-inducing or good that the head coach is coming out in the press conference. Hey, you got to hold on to the damn ball for a player that we know has issues holding on to the ball.
Yeah, it's a problem, but you don't have to disparage his size. There was one Ollie Gordon at the Senior Bowl, and there was about 10 Bayshul Tutens out there.
I'm just saying,
and he was probably one of the biggest and fastest of all of them, and I'm with you. It's not good, but I think the problem too is that you have people in the fantasy community propping up this guy like he's the next Bucky Irving.
Yes,
he's not the next Bucky Irving.
He's
probably not going to be the next Bucky Irving, and especially if he's fumbling, he's definitely not going to be the next Bucky Irving. There's 2 running backs that have been very successful in the NFL at times, can work in a timeshare, who are running ahead of him right now. But people think this is the guy that's going to be the starter. If you believe that, all the power to you. But no, this is not a good vote of confidence, knowing he's fumbling when he already had fumbling issues in the past. But we have seen players have some fumbling issues at times, and they work out of it. Sometimes they don't. It all depends. People in the chat are talking about Antonio Gibson. Ramondre Stevenson had fumbling issues at time last year. right? And so it all just kind of depends on the situation, but it's not going to be good for his prospects playing this season if he's fumbling already.
26th percentile hand size, according to that Derek Brown. Shout out to my dog D, bro. And then we got another one. He dropped the ball quite a few times last year as well. Listen, it's goddamn May 20th, man. There's only so much that we can discuss today. And instead of discussing, I'm looking under this clip, I see projections for Tuten. This is from Deep Dive Fantasy Football. You want to hear these Tuten projections?
Show me those projections. Let's go.
882 rushing yards, 53 targets, 43 receptions, 350 receiving yards, and 6 touchdowns. He's just 1,500-yard player out the gate.
Not bad.
Doesn't it feel everyone's pumping up Tuten, and then you get to the season and you know who's carrying the ball in Jacksonville?
Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby.
And Tank
of
Bigsby.
Course.
I could be wrong, but it sure as hell feels like it's, unless they make a pivot, when we get to week 1, the running back standing back there with T-Law is going to be number 1 and number 4. Etienne and Bigsby. For as long as they can hold on to it, Tuten to get spelled in. I've seen his ADP. I see where people are drafting him, these projections.
He's drafted ahead of the other two guys in a lot of places, which
Good
is
luck.
Insane.
Have fun. Yeah. Stiley said, I love when people steam players up like this. Just as Garrison says, seems high. Just seems a little high to me. I'll leave it at that. I like Tuten. He's a fun player, but chasing Bucky Irving is probably bad process, JRich. It's probably what you don't want to do. All right, PFF dropped their top 25 players under 25. Want to take a look at this list, JRich, and talk through some of these players at PFF best in the league under the age of 25 years old? You want to do that?
Let's do it. Let's see what they got.
Pull it up. You see Penei Sewell up there. Got some suits right there. Old GQ trying to get a new one. All right. Number 1 player under the age of 25, Penei Sewell, right tackle for the Detroit Lions. Little argument there. 92.8 PFF grade over the last 3 years. All-pro player. Incredible.
Yeah, one of the best tackles in the league.
One of the best players in the league, JRich. Yeah. One of the best players in the league. Number 2. This one kind of shocked me, but number 2, I love it. Puka Nacua, number 2.
Really?
Under the age of 25. What are your thoughts about Puka Nacua? And you can see right here, Kyle Hamilton is 3rd.
I mean, based off their impact, right now, I'd have Puka Nacua probably ahead of Kyle Hamilton. Now, after next season, that may flip, because if we get second half Kyle Hamilton in this Ravens defense for a whole season this year, they are going to be very, very good. But Puka Nacua too. I'm curious to see how this list shakes out. I haven't even looked at it yet, but
seems
pretty high for Puka Nacua, especially because there's you expect them to lean maybe quarterbacks here. You
feel like QBs would be a little higher, right? Well, we got a QB coming up. Yeah. We got Kyle Hamilton, safety of the Baltimore Ravens, and again, just to remind everybody out there that they now have Kyle Hamilton and who at safety, JRich?
It's Malachi Starks, is it not?
Malachi Starks, yes. I'm loving that secondary in Baltimore. Number 4 player on this list, Jaden Daniels. There goes your quarterback. Okay. JD5, the number 1 quarterback in the NFL, according to PFF, 25. Under the age of 25. Number 5, we're going back to the defensive side of the ball. Kansas City Chiefs cornerback Trent McDuffie.
Really?
Number 5, McDuffie went from, Trent McDuffie.
Top 5. CB2 to CB1.
Top 5. Here's the write-up on McDuffie. Went from being a top 5 nickel cornerback in PFF overall grade for Steve Spagnuolo's defense in 2023 to a top 5 outside cornerback in 2024. He's the NFL's highest graded cornerback since 2023. So Trent McDuffie, beast for the Kansas City Chiefs. At 6, we've got Jared Verse, edge rusher from LA. JRich, Jared Verse up here very high, ahead of Defensive Player of the Year from 2 years ago, Will Anderson of the Houston Texans at 7. Straight defense down the board. We've got Brian Branch of the Detroit Lions at number 8.
Great year, too, from Brian Branch, too.
At number 8, top 10 player. We'll go back to the offensive side of the ball. And at number 9, we have Bijan Robinson at number 9 from the Atlanta Falcons. Bijan, number 9. Ahead of the 10th player, Jahmyr Gibbs.
See, that's kind of crazy. That is kind of crazy.
You don't like it?
I love Bijan, but it's hard to say that he's been better in the NFL than Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, I don't think anyone would say that. So maybe he's got a higher PFF grade. Cool. But like Jahmyr Gibbs is better than Bijan Robinson currently in the NFL.
You think so? You think you feel comfortable?
Yes. I'm pretty comfortable
10 toes down on
yeah.
that Gibbs is better than Bijan.
Yeah, if you're picking a running back, maybe you'd pick Bijan over Gibbs.
I would pick Gibbs. I agree. I wanted you to stick with it. I would take Gibbs over Bijan Robinson as well.
Gibbs has been way better.
I'm one of the few people who had Gibbs rated ahead of Bijan Robinson, JRich. I had Gibbs ahead of Bijan.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I would put Gibbs ahead of Bijan.
Too.
Number 11, Drizzy, Drake London at 11.
Okay, Ray, defend your boy here. Would you take Drake London over some of these 2024 rookies, even though it was only one season? He's really good. I don't know if he's that good.
Let's go down the list. Let's go down the list. You've got beef with Drake London, okay? 12, CJ Stroud.
I'm fine with it. Down season last season, but Stroud's very good.
Derek Stingley at 13.
He could be way higher.
Okay. Brock Bowers. Here goes your 2024. Brock Bowers at 14.
Yeah, Brock Bowers is good.
Malik Neighbors. There goes your 24 receiver. Neighbors at 15. So would you rather Malik Neighbors or Drake London?
I'm taking Malik Neighbors.
You're taking Neighbors over London, really?
I just am. I think he's way more explosive than Drake London. And that's the difference for me. He's just way more explosive. But that's just, again, I understand it's under 25. You can factor in multiple years of production with Drake London. But this was Drake London's first good season.
One for one.
It wasn't better
1v1.
than...
You got to take one of them dudes. You taking Neighbors over London?
Yes, 100%. I mean, even in his rookie season, he almost outproduced Drake London. As I think London had 200. I think he had almost 1,300 yards, and Neighbors only had 1,200. And Neighbors only played 15 games.
Devon Witherspoon, great defensive back from Seattle at 16. He should be higher.
Yeah,
this one is crazy. 17th, Jalen Carter of the Philadelphia Eagles at 17.
Man, I didn't even think of Jalen Carter. I didn't even think of Jalen Carter. He could be in the top 5. He's one of the main reasons they won a Super Bowl.
He'd be a top 5 player for me. He under 25.
Wow,
I'm putting
Carter.
I would put Carter up there. Christian Benford of the Buffalo Bills, man. This is a really good cornerback. And I know he doesn't wear a cool cornerback number, but he can play. Very good player here at 18.
Keep scrolling. We can see, yeah.
Ladd McConkey at 19. Ladd McConkey.
Over BTJ, wow.
Over number
That's a
20,
hot take for some
Brian
people.
Thomas Jr.
So they're close.
They're
close.
That means they didn't know what to do. They didn't have the conviction to put one really over the other, so we'll just put them back to back.
Yeah.
You got to have some conviction.
That gap between these guys and London isn't that big. It's really not.
That's what I was going to ask. Is the gap between BTJ and Ladd that significant over London?
No. You could put BTJ over London if you wanted to.
Would you do that? Good. Would you take Brian? Would you rather Brian Thomas or Drake London?
If I'm building a team, I'm probably taking Brian Thomas
or London
over Drake London. I'm taking Brian Thomas. Yeah, I want the downfield threat that Brian
London's
Thomas is.
London's a downfield threat. What do you mean?
He's a bit of a downfield threat. He's not quite as a downfield threat, in my opinion, as Brian Thomas is.
Okay. Devon Achane at 21.
Yeah.
Fine with it, whatever.
Like he's good, but like
this is good,
but like give me like a really good defender over Devon Achane.
Already tired of Achane. 3 years into his young career, I don't know. Like he's fine. He's fine. He's great.
He's good.
He's very good.
Is he better than Bucky Irving?
Yes.
That's the great debate this offseason is Bucky Irving and Devon Achane.
Yes. Tyler Smith, 22, Dallas Cowboys. Love it. Tyler Smith.
Okay.
Sam Laporta, 23. Yeah, I don't know.
That's kind of, I don't know, man.
Yeah, maybe.
That's
Cooper
the only
DeJean.
other tight end on this list?
Cooper DeJean.
Cooper could be high. Cooper could be
24th.
But
And then
no
we've
Quinion.
got Kirby Yosef Joseph, here, one of the best safeties in the league, all pro this past year at 25.
Wow.
So the Lions have like
Well, they got 4 players?
four players.
No, 4 players.
Sewell,
Yeah. 2
Joseph,
safeties. Branch is the other one.
Branch, and Gibbs. And Laporta.
Gibbs, yeah.
5.
Oh my God, and Laporta.
They got 5 on this list.
Okay,
They comprise. What's 5 of 25? What's that?
20%.
No, 5 of 4. 5 of 20. Wait. Yeah.
Isn't it 25? 5 of 25 is 20%.
It's 20%.
Yes. And their defense stinks.
Yeah, 20%. 20% of the damn list is damn Detroit Lions. Now, you talked about London being too high. London was too high? You think Drake?
Well, just again, relative to some of the players that I would put around him, yes, I'd say he's very good. I don't know if I'd put him in this list though.
He on the 25 list? Yeah, he is.
Like he could be at the
Yes.
bottom. Like he could be in the 20s.
Yes.
He could be in the 20s.
No other rookie quarterback. No May, no Nix,
Yeah.
no Caleb.
And I think a lot of guys like just didn't like. I think there's a lot of 26-ish-year-old quarterbacks right now, because like I feel like there should be some more players in there, but I mean Caleb's not making that. May's not making that. Like none of those guys are making those types of lists. There's just no way. Especially when it seems like it's kind of based off of PFF grade a little bit.
No Hutchinson. Sly said no Aiden Hutchinson
Is
on
he
this list.
25?
No Aiden. Yeah, he's under. He's of age, but they probably didn't include him because
He's
of the
24.
Because of the I don't Duke. I don't know Duke. Duke Dean. Shout out to Duke subscriber. Said Hutch had to be an oversight. There's no way they went through Detroit and
He could be
forgot
number
Hutch.
1.
I just think they didn't include. I'm not PFF. I'm gonna have to believe they didn't include him because of the injury and they didn't know how he was gonna recover. I don't think anybody else on this list was hurt for the most part, so I'm just going to assume he's not on there because of that. Because there's no way that Hutchinson should not be on this list. Like no way.
Yeah.
You can't. They should have 6,
easily be
right?
number 1, man. He could easily be number 1. He's so good.
JR Enterprise said he's a candidate for number 1 on this list. He said he's a candidate for number 1 on this list.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Jameson said no Christian Gonzalez. Jared Verse was 6th, Weeze. Verse was 6th. You think Hunter makes that list next year?
No. I'd be pretty surprised. Wouldn't you?
They only had a couple of rookies on it from this year. So
let's see what this is. Right,
so they've only got a couple of rookies on the team this year. So I'm not.
Wow, Micah Parsons on a list from last year. Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, Micah. I mean,
wow, Sauce didn't make the list.
Sauce Gardner?
He's right around there. He was on a list last year. Amon-Ra aged out, right? Stroud still
Sauce
there.
is probably aged out. Yeah,
Brock
Gonzo
Purdy
should have been on
aged
the
out.
list. I agree.
Love.
Gonzo should have been on the list.
Surtain.
Who?
24. Pat Surtain.
Surtain's not on the list?
He might have just aged out, but he's another one.
There's no way. I'm just he had to have aged out. There's no way. Like
he turned 25 on April 14th.
So it's the cutoff of the list.
Very
right?
close. Yeah, very close.
Under the age of 25, not 25
very
and
close.
younger. Under the age of 25. Scribble said Sauce was awful this year. The Sauce was awful this year.
He did struggle this year.
Christian Gonzalez should have been on the list, 100%. Gonzo should have been on the list. All right, Jay.
But that's where the DBs definitely could be on the list. Some of those
Get the
good
music,
DBs,
man. Somebody said Tyler Shuck ain't good enough. Get the hell out of here.
Why is Tyler Shuck catching strays?
He's just trolling right now. Absolutely. Oh, now I'm glad we ended the show. Johnny Lillycrap. Shout out to Johnny. RJ Harvey, almost too old for this list, and he hadn't even played.
He is too old.
Let that sink in, picking between him and Caleb Johnson. Oh, man. Johnny, get the hell out of here, man. Get out of here. Don't you fade that RJ Harvey. Don't fade him because he ain't going to be on this list. Don't fade him because he's not on this list.
You can't make the list.
2 years. Jay, anything you want to say to people before we get out of here, man?
Nah, thank you guys for tuning in to another show. We will see you guys on Friday, but make sure you tap in to our Bleacher Report stream Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll see all you guys in the BR chat tomorrow. We don't know what we're doing yet, but I'm sure it will be a good show once again. We always have a good time. We always have a good time.
Appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all bright and early on Friday, but check us out on Bleacher Report tomorrow. Have a fantastic Wednesday. Wake y'all asses up with me and JRich on Friday. We out. Peace.